Hey, welcome to bandadvice.com.tv. Whatever. This is the Matt and Mark Astute Observations and Insightful Discussions About Music podcast. How's it going, Matt?
Pretty good, man. What's going on?
Just another busy day, just keeping it real.
Yeah. Well, at least we get another chance. That's a good part of it.
That is true. This is episode 8.
Episode 8. Wow.
Yeah. Harebrained little idea of just two guys sitting around talking about all kinds of musical stuffs.
Yeah. Well, I think it's been pretty. It's been going pretty well. It seems like we haven't had a lot of dead air time where we didn't really know what we were talking about. But
no, we don't know what we're talking about, but we didn't have any dead air.
Well, we got to make people think we know.
Sure. Well, it's all perception, right?
Exactly.
Isn't that what this whole business is about anyway? Just perception?
It's smoke and mirrors in the highest degree.
Yeah, we are the greatest showmen in this room, I tell you. Legends in our minds.
In this chair. I'm the greatest showman in this chair.
We're legends in our mind, as one of our songs that we wrote many years ago goes.
Oh, no, that was funny. That was a good one.
Yep.
I like that title. Anyway.
Yeah, that's what my dad used to call me. So. Awesome.
Well, so do you have a record player?
My dad has a record player, but I do not.
Okay. When's the last record player you had? Did you ever have a record player?
Yes, I did have a record player. That would go back to, I still had one when I was in college. In fact, I still have a crate of vinyls around here, like Bruce Springsteen's Born in the USA on vinyl and stuff like that.
And so that was something you had set up at college?
I had it set up at home. I didn't take it to the dorms with me, but it was at home. So it disappeared shortly after, probably after I got a CD player. So
just got rid of it, just didn't like vinyl anymore, or just too
Couldn't
much
find
trouble?
it.
Or
couldn't find vinyl anymore. That's when the CD took over. I had switched to cassettes because I could never get the record player to not skip in my car.
Yeah.
So I kind of started buying cassettes instead.
Yeah, it's like,
and and then when CDs finally came out, and I finally saved up enough money. In fact, I think somebody bought me a CD for a present, and it's like, well, I guess I got to go get a CD player now.
right.
That's kind of it's segue, but yeah, I mean, shit, my dad. Mom had 8 tracks too. My dad had reel to reel.
Yeah.
Not just, for recording that you actually bought an album on reel to reel, and it had the cover and everything like that. And he still has that player at his house too, and there's still some of those tapes around.
Yeah, man, those are fun to use, just like to record on, like stereo recording. I did some stuff on those before. Yeah.
Well, that's kind of how Les Paul got his multi-tracking going too. Had a couple he had a reel to reel, and then he robbed the recording head off another one and put it on there, so it would play, and then they'd overdub and record all onto the same tape. It was very destructive in the way it happened because he couldn't go back and undo, but it's ingenious.
I read his biography. It's a fascinating book. I mean, I think he's just as much responsible for the modern technology where it got to as anybody. He's known as, he invented the Les Paul guitar. Well, that's only a small fraction of what he invented. He invented pretty much multi-tracking as we know it. And, he was not afraid to take those chances, and things were different then where you could do that. And so I always really look up to guys like that, because it wasn't just he's a great guitarist, but he was a great guitarist, a recording engineer, an electronics wizard, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so guys like that really always get me going. But, there's just something about that record, something about the vinyl, something about that wax, something about taking it out of the plastic and, putting it on there,
sleeves.
letting the needle hit the groove while you're reading the liner notes.
Yep.
And I think people are getting back to that now, and maybe it's a nostalgia thing. I don't know, but they've sold a lot of records in the last few years.
They have, and I don't know if it's tied to the whole hipster movement or what, but it's remarkable. It really is. Now, my ears are not good enough anymore to tell the difference. To me, the crackles and pops make the sound degrading to me. It means it's not as high quality. But some people say that the sound, even with the crackles and pops, sounds better, sounds warmer than anything digital.
Yeah, well, here's the thing I've learned. Okay, so I got a few friends that have high quality hi-fi stuff. And when I say high quality hi-fi stuff, I mean, let me just tell you, I don't think that on just sheer playing devices, my whole musical life, I've spent more than $500 my entire life. So, every record player I've got or had or tape play, it's used secondhand, nothing spectacular, none of it.
Right.
Well, my friend here has got this turntable, the stylus is $900.
Holy cow!
Okay, then
you want to explain to the public what a stylus is?
The stylus is what they call. It's the needle that reads the information off of the LP record. The LP record is just a ball of plastic first, and then they have this test pressing that presses down into that vinyl, and then this stylus replicates those information from those grooves. If you look at one under a microscope, it's really fascinating because the grooves of it, that tells you what's on there. Yeah. And so that's the stylus takes that and transfers it out.
It's little ripples in the grooves that actually shake and transfer the noise right up into the stylus and out to the speaker.
You know, and like you see those DJ records, they're like 12-inch singles.
Right.
I always wondered, why would you waste a 12-inch single? Why would you waste a 12-inch record on one song on one side? Well, here's why. Because you can put an insane amount of bass on one side of a 12-inch record. You know, let's say it's 6 or 7 minute long dance music remix.
Bigger grooves.
Yeah, bigger grooves, bigger sound. And so 12-inch singles are really desirable for DJs, club DJs, etc. You know, and so your average record, I mean, is not going to be, 45 minutes on one side. It's going to be like 15 minutes on one side. And, by putting just one song on one side of the record, you get a lot more fidelity out of it. So that's pretty cool. I think, the speakers, I've never had a good pair of speakers. This guy's got, tens of thousands of dollars tied up in this system. And, I am always skeptical. I'm like, I know how it is, like with, say, acoustic guitars. Okay, a $200 acoustic guitar, how much better does that sound than a $1,200 acoustic guitar? Does it sound 10 times better than that? I don't think it does normally.
No.
Okay, and so I've always been skeptical of, a $30,000 stereo system. And I thought, okay, let's try this out. Well, he's got this version of Led Zeppelin 2 that initially was mastered too hot for commercial players, they felt like. And so only a few hundred of them got out, and it's really a collectible. So he's got a version of this, and I went over there and listened to it on this system the first time I ever heard of the system, and it was just like, seriously, you're sitting in the room with the band playing. It was
wow.
It was just crystal. You can hear stuff you can't hear, on your phone, on MP3s, whatever it is. It's definitely not for everybody. It's kind of a music nerd type thing. But being a music nerd, I love it.
Nice.
I find a record player somewhere and it says Made in USA on it. If it's working, I'll probably try to get it for as little as I can. And, that becomes my record player for a while. And so, I went through cassettes. I got hundreds, thousands of cassettes, CDs, everything else. Does it all sound one better than the other? I know I can point to certain albums that sound better on vinyl than they do on CD or cassette. The Hair of the Dog by Nazareth. Go listen to that on vinyl. Go listen to it on CD.
Okay.
And I mean, Hair of the Dog, the bass on that on vinyl is just, I don't know what it is. I know there's some of the first CDs they put out weren't mastered very well,
Right.
And there's a difference between mastering for vinyl as opposed to mastering for CD. But, I mean, that Hair of the Dog, the bass on there just sounds tremendous on a vinyl record. And so, it's convenience, it's technology, it's all these things that come into play. But, some of those records I really love, I've had them in 4 or 5 formats, and
that's true.
You just kind of like become a fan of the album. And then, you buy it on cassette, you buy it on an LP, you buy it on 8-track, and just it becomes woven into the tapestry of your life,
Yep.
And the delivery system now is a little different depending on what age group you're in. But, I mean, there's the vinyl thing has gone across all categories. The younger kids are into it. The older kids are into it. I love it when these bands, they come on at, 9 in the morning and they say, there'll be 250 copies of our, 5-year-old album on our Bandcamp site, and they're all going to be, orange swirl vinyl with a gold foil jacket or some cool limited edition thing. I love that. And of course, they're always sold out in 5 minutes, but I love trying to get, my hands on stuff like that. And, if you can get lucky and, you can get some really cool stuff. And so it's, for the cult fan of the band, it's really neat, I mean, like The Sword has this album called Apocryphon. Okay. And Apocryphon is like, it's just not in print at all. You can't buy it new on CD. You can't buy it on LP. You can't, they put that out on like orange vinyl. There was like 500 of them. They were gone within 3 hours, And so, of course, you see these people on social media. They're like, well, this is my 15th variant of Apocryphon. This guy's got 15 different versions of it, and it makes it collectible. It makes it kind of fun,
sure.
And the cassette thing is, it just wasn't very durable. It was a lot of hiss, a lot of dirt, and just it's fast forwarding. All that's really tough. 8 tracks was even worse, I got several hundred of those too. And
because 8 tracks would sometimes click over because the way an 8 track would work is that you had, like a cassette tape has 4 tracks across here. You have left and right on one side and left and right on the other side. 8 track has double that. But what would happen is it would reverse and go back the other direction. Sometimes right in the middle of a song if they didn't master it properly. Yeah. So you're like, that was just dumb.
Well, I didn't like it because you had to wait till it went all the way around to listen to the song. It didn't make learning from recordings very easy.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, because there wasn't a whole lot of rewinding going on.
Right, because if you want to learn track 4 on side A, okay, any 8-track player I ever had just had like an advance button to go to program 1, 2, 3, 4. Right. And so you had to wait for it to spin around again, and there wasn't any real fast forward, so that kind of sucked. Plus, those weren't very durable either, Nah. Oklahoma summer in the back of a hot car, and you can pretty much figure, you're going to have to replace all your Ted Nugent Fog Hat collection.
As I was going through this box of cassette tapes, as I was looking for a long-lost one, and came across, it was a Bon Jovi cassette that I had, and there was, obviously I had dropped a cigarette on the floorboard of my car, and it landed on top of that because there was a big old melted spot right there in the middle of the plastic, and then the rest of it had just gotten beaten and faded from the Oklahoma sun. Yeah, I can't count the number of times somebody said, I gotta get a new copy of this because I left it on my dashboard. It's like, don't ever leave anything on a dashboard in the car in Oklahoma.
No. Oklahoma
lighters will blow up. It's hilarious.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've got a lot of melted records that came wall ornaments because they got left in the car.
Yeah. They warp really easily.
And it's really amazing how quick they can happen because some of these days you're just really hot and I'm out running around, grab a stack here, a stack there, and you get home and it's like, okay, everybody looks good. I kept them under the seat in the back under a blanket and whatever, and then it just seems weird, like, all of a sudden you can just with short trip somewhere and you look in there and this thing's melted already. It's like, I don't know what happened. It's like, I guess it has to do with the vinyl composition and how stable it is and all that scientific nerd stuff.
Just the nature of how you press a record too. You got the 2 plates, they've got the etchings in it, and they have this ball of wax and just squishes it in there.
Yeah.
And it heats it up, and there's just going to be a certain melting point for this. You don't want it to boil, so it's just the way it has to be done.
Yeah, it's a real low melting point, I guess, in a lot of it. The thicker records, are better quality. They stand up a little bit.
Well, the old 78s, because that was actually a different material, but it's super fragile too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's real brittle,
and it just break like a plate. Mm-hmm. So when they went to the actual, what we call vinyl, I'm not exactly sure what the.
I think it's polyvinyl chloride.
Something like that. Yeah, when they went to that, and especially when they moved up to the LP part of it, because they started off as just 45s, singles, the A side, B side, and then the record companies realized if we had a bigger version of this, we could pack in 10 songs instead of 2, and we could sell the song for 10 times the amount.
More.
And we didn't even have to worry about making them all good songs. We could just the same single that we would have put on there, we'll just add 8 more tunes to it and make $10.
Yeah,
but just a side vent.
I love the artwork too, because you can actually see it, right?
Oh, sure.
I mean, a CD or just a little deal online, you can't really see it too good.
Oh man, there was a whole group of people that were record jacket designers and record jacket artists.
Yeah,
and it was a whole art form. Mm-hmm. In fact, Phil Hartman, the comedian, he started as that. That was his. He started off as a record jacket artist. So not only did you have the outside, then you had the back, which usually would tell you what your songs were. So a lot of times that artwork would wrap around, but then you'd have the inside sleeve, which and that was usually just printed black and white and all that. But you get some pretty creative looking sleeves in there. And when they started printing lyrics.
I loved it.
They use the sleeve a lot for that. So
I mean, I learned a lot about music by reading liner notes.
Yeah.
And, I'm sorry. It's easy to put something on your phone, but you're not going to get that education.
Right. Well, that was the whole thing, is that you get home with your record, you put it on the player, you lay down in your bed, and you read the liner notes while you're listening to the stuff. That's how you listen to music when you bought a new record.
Yeah.
And, good old days. Nowadays, you just put it on your iPod while you're going to the gym or something like that, and you may hear half the song. But that goes back to what we talked about a couple of weeks ago too. Is like people don't really listen to music anymore, and it's
a social accessory.
It's something that I myself am guilty of, and I'm trying to carve out time now to where maybe I won't turn the TV on. I'll just go lay down in bed and put on some new music and just listen and hope that the dogs and the kids leave me alone long enough to get through the first song.
Right. Yeah, man. I mean, it's kind of like a social accessory to a lot of people, and I mean, I got to understand that music is not everybody's life. I can't imagine it, but that's true.
It makes no sense to me.
It makes no sense whatsoever. But, I mean, I understand people are busy and there's a lot going on. There's, like I said, we're being entertained to death, basically.
Right. Yeah.
And I understand that it's hard to get people's attention, and, the CD, the MP3, the cassette tape, the 8-track, all these different formats, kind of serve their purpose in time. And it is kind of fun, It's kind of fun to take a ride in a Model A with a rumble seat. It's fun to take a ride in a 65 Mustang with the top down.
Right. It's going to mess up your hair. It's going to shake your kidneys, but
yeah,
you're going to hear some crackles and pops on vinyl. It's really, I see what you're saying there.
And the other thing about being kind of a low budget record collector as I am is, what I realized about my friend's big highfalutin system. Well, that pretty much means that, you got to buy some pretty well mint condition stuff. Or that stylus that's really, really good is going to just magnify everything that's really, really bad about every record that I find at some sale for 25 cents. Got
to match the gear to the material, right?
Yeah, I mean that sealed Zeppelin copy, he got that sealed.
Oh wow!
I mean sealed from 1969, and. The other stuff doesn't sound as good on that system because it's dirty, it's scratched, it's got whatever. But, I've got a pretty meager setup and system, and it's like that stuff sounds okay, and you can explore and expose yourself to a lot more music that's tangible.
Right.
That's what the hard thing about it is, like people our age and older, they don't understand the tangibility is gone away. You're not holding this in your hand anymore.
Right.
This, I mean, you can hold this in your hand. Yeah,
that was the experience.
And not everybody really wants that experience, And I can't understand that either, but whatever.
It's a different generation. If it's, if you never had to hold a phone that actually had a wire connecting it to the wall, you don't know what that's like. There's a video going around on YouTube this week about some kids that they were trying to operate a rotary phone and they couldn't figure it out. And it's just comical for the rest of us.
Yeah.
And our generation, we knew what the purpose of a pencil was with a cassette tape.
Right.
There's only one use for it, not to write on the cassette tape, just to rewind it or roll it back up when that tape got pulled out.
Yeah.
What was the purpose of a quarter on a turntable? Hold that stylus down so if you happen to have a skip, it'll cut that groove back in there. So you put a nickel or a quarter on top of that, and then hopefully you'll recut it because things happen. You bump into it, and all of a sudden you got a little scratch. And every time you get to a certain part in a song, it'll jump forward to the next chorus. And
and one thing I've noticed too is like certain bands, you find the records secondhand, the LPs, and they're just always thrashed.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't care what it is, but every Ted Nugent record you can buy secondhand for 25 cents has got some issue in it somewhere.
Well, let's think about who the customer base was. It was going to be the 15 or 16-year-old kid that was in his room partaking in some Herbalife and
maybe
tripping,
even drinking lots of beer when
possibly
he went to a party,
and tripping on a guitar laying on the floor and painted the walls black. So the environment that vinyl was introduced to is.
I mean, I probably got 4 or 5 copies of Free for All, and I mean every one of them's got something wrong with it.
Meatloaf sang on most of the songs.
I do know Meatloaf was on that.
Yeah,
sure was a big album for both of them.
Sure was. Yep. Yeah, good times. It definitely knew that the trend in vinyl was not just a flash in the pan when I walked into the Guitar Center, I guess about a year ago. And they redesigned everything. And the big counter where they had all the cables and stuff like that was now nothing but LPs.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for those of you who don't know, LP means long playing record. So record is the vinyl is with the record. So if you went to cut a record, you were actually cutting the vinyl at the time. An album is one that's multiple tracks. An LP album is long playing albums, whereas an EP would be an extended play, which is usually 3 or 4 songs, whereas a single would be 2 songs with an A side and a B side.
And sometimes they do 10 inches too.
Yeah.
Like I like that because, it's 2 or 3 songs on each side.
Right. That would kind of fall into the EP aspect of it, of the classification.
And a lot of times, it'll be like a limited edition.
Right,
record store day only. I bought like some Blackberry Smoke deal like that.
Well, GNR Lives was an EP. It was only 4 tunes, so.
Well, I think it turned out to be about 8, but initially it was just 4 songs, I think. It was like the Live Like a Suicide first, and then they put it out as GNR Lives.
Oh, because they had Patience, Used to Love Her.
Yeah. And I think that was all the newer stuff. The other stuff, like Move to the City and all that, was off the Live Like a Suicide, if I remember right.
I have it in one of these things here. We can pull it out if we really wanted to get into that debate.
Yeah, I think that. It was the EP that was like, Live Like a Suicide, and then they had that other side was 4 more songs, and Patience and 1 in a Million, and those other ones were new songs. You're Crazy. Remember You're Crazy, like acoustic or whatever.
Here's GNR Lives. Cassette, by the way. Liner notes, by the way. See, that's just some cool album work.
Yeah. I got mine at Starship in like December of 1987 or 8.
My old eyes. Oh, you're right. It's 8 songs. Okay. I guess I only listened to 4 of them. Reckless Life.
Yeah, that was all the Live Like a Suicide.
Mama Can. Patience, Used to Love Her. You're Crazy. One of them. Oh, that's why, because I only ever listened to side B.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that Move to the City off there is really badass, though.
I'll have to. Now that I got my tape deck hooked up to my rig here, I'll have to pull it out and take a listen to it. So, awesome. So, yeah. You love the vinyl.
I love it.
Don't care for the cassettes.
Well, I do, but it's just, I don't understand why bands put out cassettes now.
Do they?
Who's got a cassette player? Who?
Well, I do, but that's just because I'm transferring all the stuff to digital.
I do, but it's not like, my main preferred way of getting music. But, I mean, they're, my friend that owns a record store says that they sell lots of cassettes.
I'll be darned.
And I don't know if it's, these... Like we were with the 70s. We always loved 70s stuff. And we were a little bit older. It's like these kids now that they love the 80s. And so now, I don't know if that's it or what. But
trying to get the retro thing going, maybe. Yeah.
I mean, cassettes.
Why is vinyl coming back and cassettes never left? It's an oddity as well.
Yeah. I mean, vinyl is coming back because, number one, the fidelity of it is superior.
Sure.
If you have a decent system, it is superior to a CD or a cassette, and it's fun, it's kitschy cool. It's kitschy, yeah. And there's always going to be a market for kitschy cool,
Mm-hmm.
And it's just never went away for me. I was always buying records.
Yeah. My parents were huge audiophiles, and they got it from my mom's father, who was as well, and their house has just got cabinets after cabinets after cabinets full of vinyl, original stuff.
Yeah.
And this is the old country music, Hank Williams, Kitty Wells, all this stuff. So, yeah, I've got to get over there one of these days and do a good inventory on it and figure out what we're going to do with this stuff, because I certainly don't want it to go for 25 cents in a garage sale.
Why not? I'll be there. You can give it to a museum or something like that.
That might not be a bad idea.
I mean, I've read about a few different people, I wanted to say like Rockin' John. I think they were maybe trying to do that with some of his collection.
Wow. Okay.
And I mean, it was, like 45s in all formats,
Mm-hmm.
and I think they might have given that to maybe a museum someplace.
Interesting.
I'm not really sure.
Interesting.
But that'd be so awesome.
I definitely want to give several of those things a spin, though, before I
no doubt
unload them, but... Yeah, if I had the room, I'd definitely keep them. So I have to figure out what we're going to do with that. So.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's a lot
first
of
world problems.
A lot of room there. A lot of room.
Yeah, definitely. So, but yeah, that's what I grew up on. I mean, my parents' record player was one of those huge consoles where it's all built in, and you flip this lid up. It kind of looked like a nice piece of furniture, and you flip the lid up. You had the record player over here, and I think there's a radio on the other side. I wouldn't even say stereo. It was stereo because there's 2 speakers, but yeah, you had the record player and then the stereo, and then the speakers were built in.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
You know.
Combination liquor cabinet.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah. Yeah, I love those.
Uh-huh. But, it's like we were saying earlier, though. It's like one of those deals, something goes out on it. It's like, oh, now you got to buy the whole thing. Well, back then, I guess you actually could do repairs and people would repair things.
Yeah, I think
nowadays,
you'd buy those like at a furniture type store.
Mm-hmm.
You could count on your TV repairman to be able to fix it for you.
Sure,
probably.
Sure.
And, now I've seen them all, they've gutted it out and put a $10,000 turntable in it or something.
Yeah.
And it still looks cool and all that. But
it's like those people take those old Wurlitzers and retrofit them with CD players. Like, oh, why'd you do that?
Yeah, right.
Just go out and buy a bunch of 45s of songs that you like. It doesn't have to be the current stuff.
Yeah, it takes work. Sifting through 45s takes a lot of work.
Oh, I can imagine.
I tend to not really stop and look because it's just too much. There's just too much to look at. And, a lot of them are thrashed because they're not in the really, when you get down to the collectability of it, a lot of it is the collectability is in the picture sleeve.
Right.
The collectability is not so much in the record, it's in the picture sleeve. And some of them have, like the retail picture sleeve versus the DJ picture sleeve, which would be like a plain white paper
for
wrapper.
Promotional only, not for sale.
So, the picture sleeve's where the collectability is, but I don't really buy them to get rich off of them. I buy them to enjoy them.
Yeah.
And, I feel like it's kind of represents a different, simpler time, and I enjoy it a lot.
Definitely simpler in my life, being kids,
Totally, man. What do we have to do on Saturday afternoon but sit around and listen to a record?
Right, because Saturday morning cartoons are over with, so you can listen to music then. So,
man, I'm telling you.
Good times.
Fun stuff.
Yeah, well, it's going to be interesting to see what the next generation of audio-video media is going to be. It's going to... I don't know if we'll ever get back to common use of a tangible product. So I think we're going to be in the digital age, but,
I think there's an awful lot of people that their main television in their TV room is probably their entertainment portal.
Yeah.
And if they can get it on YouTube, they can get it on Netflix, they can get it on whatever their thing is, that's going to be their entertainment portal. Yeah. Now, the real freaks will go out and buy a record player and set that up and all that stuff. But I think your average person is, they got their TV hooked up to the internet, and that's pretty much how it goes.
Yeah, see, I don't even think people are going to buy music anymore. I think it's because I'm not sure if this is still true, but I had heard an announcement that Apple was going to discontinue iTunes as far as selling music, and it's just going to all be subscribed to the streaming service.
Yeah.
And I believe Google Play is that way too. I think you stream it. I got to go research some of the stuff because it changes on a daily basis sometimes. Yeah, right. So yeah, you subscribe to, Beats One or whatever Apple's calling it now, and you just listen to whatever song you want, however many times you want. Which, I can kind of see that in certain aspects of it, because how many times we bought a record for just one song, and then once the novelty of that song wore off, we never listened to it again. That was kind of the model that the labels were following back in the 80s and early 90s, probably even longer than the 90s, but until digital kind of said, hey, put in a little course correction there about the quality of music.
You subscribe and you can listen to anything over and over and over and over and over.
Right.
And if you subscribe more, then you might get to download it if you want. Something like that.
I'm not sure about the download aspect of it, but I do know that, I know Amazon has a subscription model as well, and you can download it for offline listening, but you can't transfer it off the device. It's got to be within its app, so you can't even listen to it on any of the other apps and stuff.
But. Yeah, see, I still remember when the world was free, and I like to kind of perpetuate that if I can. So when I stop at a redneck garage sale and I see a Jerry Reed record for 25 cents, I'm all over it.
Oh man. See, now you got me wanting to buy a turntable. I'll have to get one of those and we'll hook it up here. You can bring some of your records over.
Man, I'm telling you, it's so much fun.
Yeah.
So much fun.
You'd listen to some Jerry Reed. That'd be good.
Oh,
man.
One of the coolest ones is Jerry Reed does Jim Croce. He sings Jim Croce songs.
Really?
He did a whole album of that in like the 70s. Awesome.
How many albums did Chet Atkins put out?
Lots of them.
It was in the hundreds.
Probably in the hundreds. Yeah.
I mean, that guy, and that's just albums that he put out, not counting all the ones that he
just albums with him as the artist.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably got 30 LPs at least. And every once in a while, you run into a little bait of them here and there, and I'll grab 4 or 5, oh, they're 25 cents each. All right, let me have it.
Nice. Nice.
So I'll run home with a whole nother stack of Chet Atkins records. I got this instructional deal he did. It's the records, an instructional book, and I had Glenn Campbell's the same way, man. Every time I see a Glenn Campbell album, I grab it.
Oh, especially now he's passed.
Well, I mean, just as a general rule of this guy was really a great musician that did a lot of different things different ways, and there's lots of different releases and lots of different versions.
Yet everybody knows him as Rhinestone Cowboy, which is kind of a shame because the dude was a monster on guitar. He really was.
Oh yeah, but like they all say, the money's in the first 5 frets of the guitar. It's not up in the 12th fret.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah.
And so I just like listening to him because he's always, there's always a familiar tune or two on there. Mm-hmm. Plus he's got these, just songs like "Why Was This Not a Hit?" I mean, this is totally could have been a hit. Why is this not a hit? Yeah. And so that's the thing that keeps me going back to stuff like that is the ease of getting a hold of it, the freedom of listening to it, and just the discovery of it. That's what keeps me going on that.
Yeah.
And so hopefully some of you listeners out there feel the same way. Write in and let us know what you think.
Yeah, definitely. So, well, good talk, man. I enjoy that.
Yeah, man. It's always fun hanging out here and talking.
Nice trip down memory lane as far as the music stuff, and it's just little story. And they're actually Facebook friends with mine, but they were friends of my parents, and they had a in Milwaukee, because it's cold. Well, every house has a basement, and because it's so cold, a lot of people build bars in their basements so that they can entertain down there. And one weekend somebody go over to one house and the other and all. So they had some friends that they were huge music fans as well, and he had his basement just lined, the walls were just lined in album jackets.
Oh yeah.
And this is where I got my introduction to Creedence Clearwater Revival.
Nice.
And I remember it was right after you and I we got those first gigs. We auditioned, and I drove up to Milwaukee with my parents, and I put on the cassette tape that we had made for a little demo tape, and we were doing Lodi. And my dad's like, Norby would be seriously proud of you right now, because that's the kind of music we listen to.
That's great.
And my dad had a really interesting quote about it, because he'd have the music up so loud that you couldn't hear what the person next to you was saying. It probably wasn't that important anyway.
That's good, man.
But yeah, so that's that. I was drugged from Bluegrass Festival to Bluegrass Festival as a kid, and my first official concert was at Alpine Valley, Wisconsin. I was probably 6 years old and saw Lester Flatt and Earl Scruggs.
Wow. And
all I remember is those are the guys that did Beverly Hillbillies.
Yeah,
but,
right.
But still, So I was exposed to music very early on. So my roots go all over the place. So yeah, the LP, the vinyl, it has a place in my heart too.
I don't think it's ever going away.
As long as old guys like us keep it going, right?
Well, that's right. That's right, man.
All right. Well, appreciate the chats, man. And
this is fun.
Yeah, we'll get these out on the internet over the next couple of weeks, and look forward to some more episodes of Matt and Mark's astute observations and insightful discussions on music, which this episode definitely was. So. All right, so you guys be safe. Subscribe to the links, and sharing is caring. And if there's a Patreon link down on the bottom there, feel free to click on it. You can throw a couple bucks our way. And until next time, peace.
See you.